Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatai Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sandhubhyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. हरे कृष्णा, आप सभी का स्वागत है. Is our online stream working? Can anyone verify? Oh, yeah, it's working. Okay, great. So, 1 second. So, Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone for today's discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto. And we are going to resume our discussion from the 9th chapter. Yeah. So all of you will need to take it out on your mobile phone. You will not be able to see verses here. So 8th chapter, the discussion was manifestation of Brahma from Vishnu. So don't have to worry right now. Let's pay attention. Then when I say the verse, you can pull it out. We discussed some very important things from 3.8. Close that. The discussion of Brahma's appearance is described as he appeared on the lotus stem or the flower, and when he appeared, there was this whole whirlpool of wind, which is trying to dry up the devastating water of devastation. You remember last time, right? So does anyone remember anything from that discussion? Any one point about personal application? What did we spoke about? From what's the reflection from our lesson for us from the incident of Brahma's appearance? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Anyone remembers? Yes, Prashant. Even Brahma's position is not comfortable. What evidence do you have to say that? Is online audience able to hear? They can't hear.
No, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, go ahead.
When Brahma appears, his place dark around, and he's also going a lot of turbulence.
Okay. So Brahma's position is also not known. What else? What else? One quick point. Yes, Nivriti. I will pass on the mics quickly. Yes. This is not what I discussed. What else? Okay. The main point was Brahmaji every morning wakes up and he spends his 2 hours of Brahma Murta in doing management, creation. So how fortunate we are that we have got 2 hours of sadhana time. But after the morning program, sometimes looking at your face, it doesn't look like. So we should be in ecstasy because we are at least getting to chant and dance. Brahmaji with the forehead would be looking down at us with envy. Look what I'm doing. And look what you are doing. How much effort I have to do. Every morning when I wake up is a nightmare. Waking up is a nightmare. I mean, for him also waking up is a challenge. For us is also a challenge. But his challenge is far greater than our challenge. When he wakes up, he has forgotten everything what happened previous day. And it's just like a new creation altogether. And he wakes up, it's a pitch dark. You wake up in a nice 3 BHK apartment in the 18th floor of Sangria, surrounded by clouds, isn't it? It looks like you're on a hill station. What a pleasant weather set of all of you. Look at Brahmaji. He wakes up. He wakes up right in the middle of the ocean. And it's not a placid or calm ocean. Whirlpool, high waves, and he's moving around because there is a waves are coming because of the high wind, and he's just moving around because he's sitting on the lotus stem. No, the lotus stem is tied to a point. He's just moving around and whirlpool like this, zoop, zoop, and he can't see anything. It's pitch dark, scary, and then he performs his service. So we're talking about if you find it challenging, then compare yourself with Brahma and look at his challenges. What is your challenge? Nothing. So easy is our life. Anyway, that was a little discussion. Let's start with our chapter 9, where Brahmaji had, in chapter 8, we saw Brahmaji had darshan of the Lord. And after having darshan of the Lord turned on the light. So the sun, in other words, by the mercy of the Lord, the effulgence of the Lord's body removed or destroyed the darkness around, and Brahmaji was able to see everything. So text number 32 of the previous chapter mentions, when Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, thus saw the Lord, he simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake and Lord Vishnu's navel and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air and the sky, all became visible to him. That was the previous chapter. Now let's begin with chapter 9. So all of you, third canto, chapter 9, verse number 1. I'm going to go a little bit with the Sanskrit today. So you will need that. Brahmavacha. पहले आप सुन लो रेसिटेशन मीटर वन हम लोग कुछ और ही सुरताल गाने वाले हैं ठीक है ज्ञातोस्मि अत्य सुचिरान् ननु देह भाजाम् नाज्ञायते भगवतो गतिर् इति अवित्यम् नान्यत्वदस्ति भगवन् अपि तन्न शुद्धम् माया गुना व्यतिकरा यदुरु विभासी
माया गुना व्यतिकरा दुरुभासी.
Madam Medhavni, if you would like to share screen, you can. So that's verses are visible. So this chapter 9, I believe, is around 43 or 45 verses. Half of the verses spoken by Brahma, And rest of the half of the verse is spoken by Lord Shri Krishna or Vishnu, like that. So we're going to cover only the first half of this chapter. There's a long chapter. These are prayers. So what is happening here right now is Brahma is offering prayers to the Lordship. So we're going to a little bit study the prayers today. So Brahmaji said, what he said, "Oh my Lord, today after many, many years of penance, I have come to know about you. Oh, how unfortunate the embodied living entities are that they are unable to know your personality. Nagyayati bhagavato gatir iti avadyam. My Lord, you are the only knowable object because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist as a supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter." So the very first thing Brahmaji expresses here is his joy. Jnatos me atya suchiran nanudhi havajam. तो क्या कहते हैं? Hey Prabhu, after a long time, Suchirat, after a long time, which means he had to perform a penance, tapasya, Brahma did tapasya. After a long, see, at least we have some idea how long we can do tapasya. Yes or no? Now, let me make a point and see if you understand. Brahma had no clue, head and tail, for how long he has to perform tapasya. We still have some idea for how long we have to perform tapasya. Yes or no? Yes or no? बताओ अंशुल कैसे? तो सुबह तो हो गया, फिर क्या है? For how long? सुबह के बाद तुम्हें क्या भगवान के दर्शन मिल गए? भगवान के दर्शन मिल गए? He got darshan of the Lord. So what does it mean? The idea is, how long are we going to live? 50, 60, 70 years. So even if you have to perform tapasya lifelong, it is for how long? 60, 70 years. But in case of Brahma, he lives for trillions of years. You know? So he had no idea for how long to sit in meditation like this. So he says, after a long time of penance, and Brahma is saying, I'm so happy that I have got your darshan. So the point I'm trying to make here is the statement. I really like this statement where he says, Jnatosmi atya suchiran. You know, he's giving us hope that, you know, tapasya means troublesome. Austerity means trouble. So we might be taking some trouble for the pleasure of the Lord. If we aren't, we should take some trouble or anxiety for the service of the Lord. Then just wait for that day when this whole short lifespan ends. And you're there with the Lord, just like Lord Brahma is with the Lord, or was with the Lord, like it's described. And he says, my dear Lord, I'm so joyful. After a long time of my tapasya, I've got the opportunity for your darshan. However, how unfortunate it is that the Nanudeha Bhajam, those who are born in this world, they are so unfortunate that they do not understand Gatir, Bhagavato Gatir. They don't understand their destination. Their goal should be you. In fact, they make temporary things of this world as their goal. They consider temporary things of this world to be more superior than you. Like this, Lord Brahma expresses his joy as well as sorrowness for that. So Prabhupada highlights in the purport, only by penance one can know. The most stalwart scientists and philosophers cannot be accepted as wonderful. Their activities may appear wonderful, but they're all acting in the hands of the illusory energy, like that. So let me ask this, which Prabhupada also highlights in the purport. Brahmaji says the living entity accepts something else in this world to be higher than you, and they make that as a goal of their life. Any example what it could be, which a living entity could accept as higher than the Lord? They accept that to be the goal of their life. Yes? Name, money, what fame, what else? They find it to be more attractive than you, my dear Lord. And for that, they're willing to reject you. How unfortunate. Sex life. It is nothing but the beauty of opposite sex. And time and again, we see a sadhaka also gets bewildered. I mean, okay, let me ask you this thing. How many of you agree? I don't know about the woman, could be potentially woman also. For a young man, uh, out of his hundreds and millions of thoughts which arises in his mind, what is the maximum percentage of thoughts? Isn't it about opposite sex? So why do you say puja la pratishta? You say name, fame, recognition, wealth. No, it's not about that. It is always about sexual attraction. It's all about sex life. And for that person, for to chase after that pleasure, he takes that to be the highest. And for that, he's willing to give up the devotional service. Now, when we are young, and therefore it is said, they are all bewildered by illusionary energy. And how the illusionary energy functions, when you are young, let's say particularly teenage years, up to the age of 30 years, the body looks very attractive. Not going into the details of it, it's not a brahmachari class. I don't want to get grosser on this, but you all understand. The body looks pretty attractive. We are hale and healthy, which I doubt even that happens today. Everyone has got a serious stomach issues and whatnot, But imagine you're hale and healthy, your senses are strong, you look attractive and whatnot. Beyond 30, the flesh becomes loose. That's the reason the wrinkles arises gradually and all that. The skin becomes more harder, all that, etc. Gradually, the attractiveness goes away. And what happens at the end of the day? So the person is saying, being bewildered by the illusionary energy, the person accepted the illusory form to be the highest and rejected bhakti. Therefore, scriptures again says, curtains here, curtains. Scriptures again says, be aware of this attraction for the opposite. There is no, just open it. It's a little dark. Open it like that. Like that is mentioned here. So Prabhupada says at the end of the purport, what is the beauty in this material world? Foolish human beings who do not endeavor to investigate the supreme beauty and opulence of the Lord are here condemned by Brahma. It is imperative that every human being try for such knowledge, and if anyone does not do so, his life is spoiled. Anything that is beautiful and opulent in the material sense is enjoyed by those living entities who are like crows. So particularly those who are in mode of passion, they're attracted largely. Their goal of life is enjoying sexual life. That's mode of passion. In mode of goodness, they're also attracted to something, but not God. What is that? What is attraction, mode of goodness then? They're attracted to nature. They're attracted to nature. And they will do, they'll build a bungalow for themselves in the nature. They'll go and sit there, sip a coffee on the balcony and say, wow, kya khoobsurat jagah hai. And they worship nature. Mode of passion, they worship opposite sex. And in tamoguna, intoxication or destructive habits. That is what becomes prominent for them. So that's the beauty for them, which is bewildering them. Crows always engage in picking at rejected garbage, whereas white ducks do not mix with the crows. Rather, they take pleasure in transparent lakes with lotus flowers, surrounded by beautiful orchards. Both crows and ducks are undoubtedly birds by birth, but they're not of the same feather. So we are born in this bhuloka, which is predominated by which gunas? Rajo guna and tamo guna. And we are born here, but without a doubt, we are infected by it. So we have to be conscious of what's our situation and where we have to go. And Brahma is saying, so unfortunate, these people are attracted to your illusory energy. And what is there? Nothing. And they are willing to sacrifice you for that. They're willing to give up their worship to you. Now, text number 2 onwards. So that was, he expresses joy and also sorrow. And he elaborates on it. Text number 2 now. Rupam yadetat avabhudarasodayina shashvan nivritta tamasa sat anugrahaya adau grahitam avatara shatai kabijam Yannabhipatma bhavanad aham avirasam avabodha rasa udyena. So now he is describing about the form of the Lord, which he says is manifestation from the internal energy. Avabodha rasa udyena, like this. Shashvan nivritta tamasa sat anugrahaya. And why do you manifest this form from the internal potency? Hari bol. So early. It should be 8:30. Go back. Sad anugrahaya. So the purpose why the Lord takes this form is Sad anugrahaya. What Sad anugrahaya means? One who takes your shelter. Anugrahaya. So for the devotees, you take this form for the pleasure devotees. Adau grahitam avatara shatai kabijam. And Adau means origin. You are the origin of avatar shataika bijam. Bijam means again root, seed of unlimited incarnations. Yanna bipadma bhavanat aham avirasam. And I myself have manifested from your navel. Translations, Haribol, please read. The mic is working. Bolo.
The form which I see is eternally freed from material contamination and has advented to show mercy to the devotees as a manifestation of internal potency. This incarnation is the origin of many other incarnations, and I am born from the lotus flower grown from your navel home.
Hare Krishna. Was it audible to everyone? तेरे को तो ऑडिबल ही होगा. अच्छा अच्छा वो बोलो ना फिर. मैं तो ऑनलाइन पूछ रहा था. All right. Text number 3. We can pass on the mic. I would like everyone reads it one by one. Huh? Text number 3. Now Brahmaji speaks about the Lord's transcendental form. Nata param paramayat bhavata swarupam anandamatanam avikalpam avidharvarchaha Pashyami Viswasrajamekam Vishwamatman Bhutendriyatmakam Adasta Upashitosmi. And now he says, Param Parama Yad Bhavataha Surupam. I do not see anyone superior to you. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That's Brahmaji spoke. And that's what is happening. He says, Param Parama Yat Bhavataha Sarupam. Your form is the highest. Please read the translation.
O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter.
Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavanam Cha Vedeshu Dullabhamatullabhamatma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Please read the translation to that.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is non-dual and infallible. He is the original cause of all causes, even though he expands in many, many forms. Although he is the oldest personality, he is ever youthful, unaffected by old age. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be known by the academic wisdom of the Vedas. One has to approach the devotee of the Lord to understand.
So why Prabhupada have added this point over here? Because in this verse it says, I surrender unto you. In other words, Prabhupada says, unless we take shelter of the Lord, it is not possible to understand him. It's not a subject matter of Vedic scholarship. It just does not work like this. I was making a point the other day also. We should have some self-awareness, what had been our background. We are product of this material world. Karmana deva netrena. We have not descended from the spiritual world. I mean, ultimate sense, okay. But not that we have been sent, we were not Gopi and Krishna said, जाओ प्रचार करो. आपने कहा नहीं मैं नहीं जाऊंगी. Krishna ने कहा जाओ. एंड आप आ गए यहाँ पर, तो मतलब ऐसा केस नहीं है. तो जब ऐसा केस नहीं है तो कर्मणा देव नेत्रेना we have been in the flux of this material world, so we have strong Mayavadi tendencies. And how it manifests? Scholarship, independent mentality, and it is just amazing. Despite knowing these facts, I'll tell you there are hundreds and hundreds of cases. Despite knowing all these facts, yet devotee, after being in the movement, practicing Krishna consciousness for years together, struggles to follow. And in fact, gradually he becomes so independent mind or independent, that he just cannot follow. Now, the reason I'm saying, because yesterday an email came about somebody, and this is the second time. Is a very senior guy who had been warned, and the second time he violated the conditions which he was told. I know there's all halla gulla going on. So I was just thinking about it. I said, you know what? Why would somebody do? He's such a senior guy. He knows scriptures. He's giving classes, and he had been told, do not do this service. It is not beneficial. He promised, and he again came back, again did it. And some of us were supposed to supervise and guide and all that. Of course, time doesn't permit. So we worked out that we'll just spend half an hour in a week. And again, he began to act in a full swing in the same way as before. And he again did something which was extremely dangerous, actually. Something he really crossed the limits of whatever, not limits, but it was a little risky. And then a big email came. How can he act like this? Now, he had been corrected in this particular case directly from his spiritual master, not the temple authority. Even the spiritual master told him, don't do it. And he's changing his position, but he's not stopping it. He's changing his position. He's just like playing a hide and seek game. Okay, I will not do this, he says. And then he goes and do something else in the same line. But just the same thing has been served differently. And I was thinking, why? He's risking all his devotional life for what? What will he get by this? Nothing. So my understanding is karma daiva, not karma deva. Guna karma vibhagashaha. Okay, Chaturvarnayam maya ashashtam guna. It's very easy to quote this shloka, but there's a great depth to this shloka. Guna karma. We are so conditioned. Particularly if we have come from the lower modes of consciousness. In case you've had from beginning also a little higher mode of consciousness, then it is okay. But if you have come from lower modes of consciousness, then there are certain things that binds you very strongly. And unless we become alert, and the best stage to become alert is the beginning stages. Therefore, it says nip it in the bud, in the beginning. In the beginning stages, if we can be alert and careful about what am I, take a pen and paper, start writing diaries where you, on a regular basis, do strength and weakness, SWOT analysis. Don't do the ONT, but do the strength and weakness. I mean, if I have to ask you, what are your strengths? How many of you agree? Prabhu, अभी बताता हूँ. महाभारत भी छोटी पड़ जाएगी. अपना गुणगान की बात आएगी. हाँ या ना? Well, in other words, I'm exaggerating. Point is, we know, we can say, I'm good in this, I'm good in this, I'm good in this, good in this. When I'll ask you, what are your weakness? हाँ? किसको पूछा? मेरे बारे में? नहीं, you're asking the wrong question. Yeah, I don't have any. How many of you will take a time for you to figure it out? Okay, weakness also you may say superficially. Now you have been practicing devotee. We have certain self-awareness. You say, Prabhu, weakness, मतलब मैं थोड़ा ज़्यादा खाता हूँ. Prabhu, मैं थोड़ा ज़्यादा सोता हूँ. This is all gross. How many of you gone inside and looked what's your nature of your heart, your consciousness? And what happens over a period of time? Just being in the environment of sattvic environment, staying around, these gross thing gets minimized. Your sleeping habits gets okay, your eating habits gets okay, but you never put a thought into your consciousness. What happens? Then pride comes. Look how great I am in. I have conquered these problems. I have no more problem like this. This is what we have to think seriously. And if we realize what it is, then we can take a step forward. Therefore, it is said to know what's the weakness, half the battle is already won, where my weakness lies. So it's not a story of one man, one devotee. I can tell you there's so many of us who are on the same trajectory. And halfway down the line, bhakti will be totally lost because nobody will take responsibility of you. Why? We are not willing to follow anyone. And this is a big ego issue the boys on the males carry. Ladies have their own challenges, mothers have their own challenges, but the men have this big ego issue. हम भी किसी से कम नहीं, हम भी बहुत जानते हैं, etc. So this is something you have to be careful. So here Prabhupada is talking about how devotees only can know because they surrender. So we teach everyone to surrender, but over a period of time we only give up the surrender. Text number 4. Brahmaji appreciates Lord's form. Tadvaidam bhuvana mangala mangalaya. My dear Lord, your form is bhuvana mangala mangalaya. It brings auspiciousness to Tribhuvana, to the whole world. That's the beauty of your form. Dhyane samanudashitam ta upashakanam tasmai namo bhagavate anuvidhe matobhyam. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to you, my dear Lord. Yonadrato narkabhagbhir asat prasange. So those anadato means जो रिजेक्ट करते हैं आपके दर्शन को, आपके फॉर्म को, नरका भगभीर. So what is the destination? Narakaha. Asat prasanga, and they're attracted to asat prasanga, means material topics. Translation, somebody read out.
The present form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universes. Since you have manifested this eternal personal form upon whom your devotees meditate, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics.
Yeah, that's the point. Purpose Prabhupada emphasizes on, the impersonal mindset. Prabhupada focuses on that. Now, text number 5, very important. So, the nature of the devotees is they are attracted to hearing your glories. Ye tu tavat charanamuja kusha gandham Jigranti karna vibhara shrutivātanitam bhaktyāgrahita charana parayachate sham napaishinata hridayam buruha swapamsam. Very beautiful. Ye tu tvadiya charanamuja kosha gandham. Kosha gandham. Gandham means fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Jigranti is the smell. In other words, Brahma says, the persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet. Now, how do you smell the aroma? Through the nose? But Brahmaji doesn't say, Jigranti karna vivara shrutivātanitam. Karna vivara, through the ears. So those devotees or those persons who, smell the fragrance of your lotus feet through the ears, carried by the air of Vedic sound. What a beautiful composition. Kya matlab baat hai, huh? Carried by the air of Vedic sound. Please read the translation.
O my Lord, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet, carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the ears, accept your devotional service. For them, you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts.
So that's the point here. The relationship of the pure devotees of the Lord develops because of devotional service to the Lord on the authentic basis of Vedic authority. So now is a discussion where we would like to pay more attention and focus. This was just an introduction. Now from text number 6, so in the first few verses, Brahmaji have offered prayers, glorified the Lord's form. And I said how devotees of the Lord take shelter of the Lord. They relish in hearing about the Lord. Now Brahmaji expresses his sorrow. That's what the first verse also about, right? He was joyful seeing the Lord, and he was expressing sorrow for those who accept something else than you. So now he expresses that sorrow from text number 6. Very important. Tavad bhayam dravinadeha suran nimittam shokhaspraha paribhavo vipulascha lobha tavan mameti asad avagra atimulam yavan natingarim abhayam pravanita loka. And he's expressing the situation of conditioned living in. Tavad means until then. Yavat, tavat. By when, by then. Like that. Tavad, bhayam. Fearful. Dravina. Dravina means wealth. What does that show? Matra paradareshu. Paradarveshu. Dravyeshu. Dravina is wealth. Deha, sharir. Suran, well-wishers. Nimittam. For the matter of. So, as long as one is attached to Dravina, Deha, Suran, wealth, body, and relatives, what will happen? Bhayam and Shoka. Bhaya and Shoka. Why Bhaya and Shoka? Let's say devotees also, for example, Arjuna cried when Abhimanyu died. So there was no Bhaya and Shoka in his case, right? It's not that having attachment to one's family member is a cause of Bhaya and Shoka. It wasn't. Arjuna was not. Why Bhaya and Shoka? Shokha spraha paribhavo vipulas chalobha. The Shoka Bhaya arises because of your desires, of enjoying it. Paribhavo vipulas chalobha. Vipulaha means very great. Lobha means greed. When you're very greedy for these things, then it becomes a cause of fear and shoka. And tavan, until then, at that point, up to that point of time, mameti, aham mameti, asad avagraha, ati mulam. Until that point of time, person will continue taking shelter of asad avagraha, only temporary things. He cannot yavannati angrim abhayam pravanita lokaha. He will not be able to accept your lotus feet, which awards fearlessness. Please read the translation.
O my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wealth, body, and friends. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia, and they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable conceptions of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties.
So, what is the nature of a thought should be? Our nature of thought should be that we should be remembering the Lord. We either should be remembering the Lord, either we should be remembering the devotees, either way, like that. But what are the thoughts generally surrounded with? What are the thoughts about? It's only about relatives, it's only about wealth, and to enjoy it and to acquire more and more. And because a mind is filled with such thoughts, one is always surrounded by bhaya and shoka. Anyone like to give a puppet? Anyone online would like to explain, why? And how many of you agree? How many of you have observed your thoughts or your consciousness? How much it is, caught up with these things only? Family members, friends, relatives, wealth, matter. It's all matter. How many of you will raise your hand? Please raise your hand. It's almost 100%. And it leads to bhaya and shoka, fear and anxiety. Anyone like to give a puppet? How does it happen? Why it happens? Hare Krishna. Any thoughts on it? Why it fills you with bhai and shoka? Anyone online? Yes, Madam Medhavni.
Prabhu, I had a query more than actually answering a question. So sometimes when we feel separation from our spiritual master or our gurus, we also feel shoka. But that shoka, as I understand, like Vipralamba and all that, there is a lot of. So how do you understand the shoka word here in this verse?
I mean, you already answered. Shoka, you said is Vipralamba. So that's it. That's the answer. What is there to understand? This shoka which is mentioned is about material anxieties. So anyone would like to? Yes, Prashant Prabhu. What's your reflection on it? When Brahmaji is saying bhaya and shoka, when your mind is filled with the thoughts of conceptions of I and mind.
Is desire to enjoy,
Hmm.
and material things are temporary in nature.
Okay.
So that's the reason.
So they're temporary. Good. What else? They're temporary. What else? What else?
संस्पर्श जाप होगा.
Okay, it's temporary. What else? The temporary thing is a very big thing. Adi antavanta kvanteya. It has a beginning and an end. Although you want to have it forever, you cannot have it forever. And you want to enjoy it also forever, you cannot enjoy it, even if it is even forever, because your senses are limited. The more you try to do it, you will only remain frustrated. So, very first thing, this is very important, was the very first thing that we should understand. Okay, now let me put this. Why are sadhaka, all of you are practicing devotees, why are you struggling with this? What have you not understood because of which, or what are you doing still because of which you are struggling?
Prabhuji, that
Roshni.
maybe self-realization is not there yet, or
अरे सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन तो आएगा, पहले सेल्फ अवेयरनेस तो ले आओ. सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन ठीक है. अब ये दैट्स नॉट द वे. प्रभु जी हमारा सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ, प्रभु देंगे तभी होगा, ऐसे थोड़ा ना होता है. दैट्स ओके, दैट्स ओके. व्हाट आर वी डूइंग रॉन्ग? देयर इज समथिंग रॉन्ग. सी वी आर स्टडीइंग फिलॉसफी फॉर दैट पर्पस, isn't it? So philosophers will guide. Yes, who is speaking?
We are
Ashok
in
Bro.
bodily platform.
We are in bodily platform. So don't be in bodily platform. Who's saying you to be in bodily platform? Give a bodily platform. What else? I mean, it's not as simple as this. Yes, Ritesh.
As mentioned in the shloka itself, like
Bolo,
we
bolo,
are
answer
not
bolo,
fully
fatafat.
surrendered towards a supreme
Yeah. So who is
personality or-
stopping you from fully surrender? Okay, next. कर दो surrender अभी. किसने मना करा है? द्वार खुले हैं. बोलो जी.
Whenever any situation comes, we don't follow Guru Sadhus and Shastra.
We do not, when any situation, we don't follow Guru Sadhu Shastra.
And we do our mundane activities like from our mind, whatever it is.
अरे वो situation तो छोड़ो, बाकी जब कौन सा गुरु साधु शास्त्र फॉलो हो रहा है, तो सिचुएशन की को याद कर रहे हो, ऐसे कह रहे हो जैसे बाकी सब गुरु साधु शास्त्र को फॉलो कर रहे हो. Yes, Ranjit bro, why not? What's happening? अरे तुम बोलो, आगे पीछे मत बोलो, आवाज आएगी उधर, वो 360 डिग्री एंगल है. तुम बोलो शुक्र.
Our false ego is the main cause of
False ego. So what does false ego do? You're getting closer to it. What does false ego do?
So false ego make us to identify with the wrong self, our
हो
wrong
गया.
self.
What does it do? There's only
Conditioning.
one. Yes,
Conditioned by the.
What does that mean?
Like you mentioned that whiskey glass, na. So although we are engaging in the process of cleaning,
correct. You are conditioned. You have been told you are conditioned. Now change. Why are we not changing? Yes. So Abhishek Prabhu is saying we have not yet experienced the overall frustration. Ye dil mange more frustration. Unless we have more frustration, we're not going to change. Lato ke booth, बातों से नहीं मानते. ध्यान रख के बोलना. हाँ, दुर्गा देवी सुन रही हैं. You know? Okay, so all right, many answers. The point is, yes. Lack of faith. Very good. Lack of faith also. The point is controllership mentality. Only one thing. Controllership mentality. I can change. I can do this. I can do that. That's a whole thing. How can you have surrender when you have a controllership mentality? Isn't it opposite? Sharanagati means, Prabhu, आपका समर्पण किया है. तो जब भी कुछ हो, तो what we say, Lord will take care. I mean, who am I? That is what is missing. And the problem is the world has injected us with that strong conditioning in the world we have grown up today. You're the controller, become the controller. And therefore, in the beginning of the discussion, I said independent. We want to do things by ourselves. And after being around for so while, also person think now I'm fit to do whatever I want to do. No, not that. So why surrender? That's a symptom of false ego, controllership. I think I can do it. I can save my parents. I can do this. I can do that. That's what we have not understood. That's a very basic thing. So when he said bodily consciousness, that's the symptom of bodily consciousness. Is that making sense? That's the idea of controllership here. Everyone in the material world is full of thoughts about how to maintain his family, how to protect his wealth, how to keep pace with friends and relatives, etc. Thus is always in fear and lamentation, trying to keep up with the status quo. In answer to this question, this was spoken from is very appropriate. Why you are worried? Chant the holy names of the Lord, do your service nicely. You can't change the present, or you can't change the past, and future is not in your hands. Why? Because we think we can do it. Therefore, we are in anxiety. Therefore, we are in fear. Hare, how can anyone take it from me? I am the master. Well, that's the point. Remember, I was making this point in the 6th canto thing also, one of the last Bhagavatam class. Vritrasu tells Indra, do not revolt. Accept, do not revolt. And he went on revolting. Nai. And one as symptom of revolting is we want to find solutions for every problem. Our mind remains only in this problematic consciousness. We want to find solution to every problem, even if there is no problem. Our mind has got so much condition, khali dimag shaitan problem banayega apne aap hi. Unless you will create problem. Why did you say like this? And the other person wondering, what did I say, Baba? No, you said like this. I never said anything like this. You see that? They will create concoctions. They'll make speculation. That's the point. So now see what Prabhupada's puppet. Please show the puppet here. Let's read the 2nd paragraph. Where is the mic? Let's read. 2nd paragraph. What Prabhupada says.
A pure devotee of the Lord never think of himself as the proprietor of his home. He surrenders everything onto the supreme control.
Are you getting the point?
The Lord.
Controllership. We should not have any duality about it. It's a simple question, straightforward answer. That's it. If you don't have a clarity of answer, then how do you act? That's it. Go ahead.
And thus he has no fear for maintaining his life or protecting the interest of his life, his family.
फैमिली उसको अपनी लाइफ ज्यादा फैमिली की चिंता पड़ी है. ब्रह्मचारी आश्रम में आके परिवार की चिंता करता रहता है. क्या होगा क्या नहीं होगा. मतलब क्या है भाई?
Because of this surrender, he no longer has any attraction for wealth. Even if there is attraction for wealth, it is not for sense enjoyment, but for the service of the Lord.
That's it. So because now he doesn't have this controllership mentality, automatically the attraction goes away. And he earns it because he wants to use it in the service of the Lord. Go a few lines below. Thus the acquisition of wealth by a devotee.
Thus the acquisition of wealth by a devotee is not a source of anxieties, as is the case of a worldly man. And because a pure devotee accepts everything in the sense of serving the Lord, the poisonous teeth of accumulation of wealth are
So how does it work actually? How does it work? Just like I said, in our conditioned state, in our state right now, our thoughts are all about I and mine. Isn't it? I mean, रात को भी अगर सपने आते हैं तो किस बारे में सपने आते हैं? सोचो. Yes or no? I mean, how many of you are having dreams of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, or let's say Arjuna, or anyone, great acharyas? How many? Whatever thought processes are about, or about Vaishnavas. Sometimes we may get dreams about Vaishnavas. If in case we have developed a sense of gratitude, we might see them in our life, time and again. It's a very good sign. Sometimes when people say, Prabhu, sapne mein dekha, I go, very good. You're in the right position. So that can happen. Otherwise, if you see what's the thoughts are, well, so what does Krishna say in 8th chapter? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Not action bhavam. What? Smaran bhavam. Has your smaran changed? So this is something that I'm saying we got to go a little deeper. Don't look at the external actions. I put on a dhoti kurta. I've shaven my head. I become a great brahmachari. I'm a brahmachari now. Oh, Krishna as a Paramatma knows tu kaun sa chari hai. कहाँ चल रहा है तू? So where your mind is charati, where is your mind going? Like Paramatma can't cheat like that. That's the point here. So why a devotee he does not take any anxiety? Well, he's always busy thinking about how to serve Krishna. And when he's serving Krishna, he knows that at the end of the day, I'm serving Krishna. He has to only take care now. And the perfect example for this is Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, when we study this, Prabhupada's example should run through our head. How Prabhupada did it. Now, when Prabhupada left for America for the first time, he had published an announcement in the newspaper that so-and-so Bhaktivedanta Swami, on the instruction of his Guru Maharaj, is taking this, maiden voyage through a cargo ship to go to America. Can any one of us in our current condition even dare to do so? Think about it. As we are full with fear and anxiety. Prabhu ji, prasadam ka kya Prabhu ji? Mera pit bahut bada hua hai. Mujhe bilkul, ubli hui dal chahiye. Warna mera pit kharab ho gaya, to main bhakti kaise karunga Prabhu ji? We have so many worries. Imagine at the age of 70. I mean, I'm just saying, see, where is the difference lies? It's not in the external, it's internal. Look at Prabhupada at the age of 70 going through a cargo ship. And he reaches there is nobody who knows him. Nobody. So when I went as a monk, when I went, I kind of thought I'll try doing something like this. I mean, of course, ticket was booked, so it wasn't exactly like this. So I thought I will go with my keypad mobile, which means it ain't going to work there. So nobody can contact you. And Bhagwan ne kuch pratna kuch zyada hi sun li thi. So when I ended up there, I believe it was March, and there was a snowstorm. So there was a red alert. So my flight landed was the last flight which was allowed to land in New York. And for the next 2 days or 3 days, the whole airport is sealed. So when I reached airport, everyone was running out of airport. The blizzard is coming, and the blizzard has already started. And the airport is in the position of shutting down. No flights going to go for the next 3 days. Blizzard going to be there. Nothing. मैंने कहा अरे बाबा मेरे पे तो अपने होस्ट का नंबर भी नहीं है. And I have no idea. If you just reach America, we don't know what's happening outside. Is a vehicle allowed? Vehicular movements allowed or not? Because as far as my experience, they even close down the highways when the blizzard is coming. मैंने कभी क्या करने का है? I mean, I'm just sitting there and everyone is going. Everyone is leaving. And the police is again coming and checking. What are you doing? What are you waiting? I said, I'm waiting for somebody to pick me up. I don't have the contact number. I don't have money in my pocket. I went with a zero money. I had a keypad mobile. Neither I can send SOS message in India to somebody to connect somebody. At least 3 to 4 hours I waited there, not knowing what's going to happen. And there's this blaring alarm going on. Blaring alarm. Zoom, which is an emergency. They have this emergency system because the weather is very critical there. When any serious thing comes, all over the town, the blaring sound goes. The blaring sound is going. And within the terminal, it's extremely cold outside. It's a blizzard. It's already, heavy cold. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at koi dekh jaye jaan pehchan wala dhoti kurta wala who couldn't rescue me from there. I mean, imagine Prabhupada at the age of 70 going there. I'm serving Krishna. Krishna will take care. So it cannot be, we cannot imitate this. This cannot be just discussed and acquired. It has to be earned by the wealth of our tapasya. Have we performed that required tapasya? Have we sincere? And Paramatma gives strength like that. Text number 7. Devena te hatadiyo bhavatah prasangat sarva subho pashamana vimukendriyaye kurvanti kama sukhale shalavaya dina लोभाभिभूत मनसो कुशलानि shashvat. Again expressing his sorrow for the unfortunate people, he says, Devena, karma devena, netrena. So here when he is speaking, Brahmaji devena, which means their destiny is doomed. Their destiny is doomed. Devena te hatadhya. Dhya means intelligence. Hatha means bereft. जिसकी बुद्धि चोरी हो गई हो. भवतः प्रसंगात सर्वाशु vimukendriya. So bhavata prasanga vimukendriya. Such a person whose life is doomed, he just cannot develop attraction for for you. What he does when he cannot develop attraction for you? Third line says, Kurvanti kama sukhalesha lava yadina. Kurvanti means करता है. क्या करता है? काम सुख. और कैसा सुख? लेश सुख. लेश लव, लव मात्रा. तो जो सीमित ही नहीं है, it doesn't exist only literally, उस लेश मात्र सुख के लिए अपना मनुष्य जीवन अर्पण करके बर्बाद कर देता है. ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं दीना. He is an unfortunate person. लोभाभिभूत भूत मनसो अकुशलानि शश्वत. एंड उस प्रकार से मनसः, जिसका मन इस प्रकार से काम सुख, the mind whose mind is absorbed in fulfilling the desires of his lustful mind, akushalani shashvat, always finds himself in inauspiciousness, always surrounded by inauspiciousness. Somebody online would like to read the translation? Text number 7. Go ahead, Nikhil Prabhu, unmute yourself and quickly read it out.
Hare Krishna Mudran Pranam. O my Lord, persons who are bereft of the all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate and are also bereft of good sense. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sense gratification for a little while.
They do not develop traction. And Prabhupada, that's a beautiful purport. The only answer to this question is that, in the words, how can such people be delivered? The only answer to the question is that they are unfortunate because of supernatural control due to their offensive activities performed simply for the sake of sense gratification. That's the Daivena. Karma Daivena Netrena. So we all are conditioned by our past sinful activities and controlled by that, because of which they do not develop any attraction for performing devotional life. The Lord's pure devotees, however, take compassion upon such unfortunate persons and in a missionary spirit try to persuade them into the line of devotional service. What is the word Prabhupada uses? Persuade. You have to do a follow-up. Don't think I have sent a WhatsApp message and बहुत बड़ा उपकार कर दिया. First of all, as a preacher, never think you are an upkari. You are only serving. Don't think I am doing a great seva. I'm a benefactor of these conditioned jivas. No, that's not the mood. I am doing it as a service to my Guru. That is my service. That's the point. And persuade, you have to follow. Otherwise, they're not going to come. They have so many things to listen and get distracted. And text number 8, Ramaji says, I pity their condition. Shutratridhatu bhirmamuhu ardyamana shit ushnavata varshe itare tataracha kamagni achyutarusha cha sudurbharena sampashyato mana urukrama siddhate me. What a beautiful verse. Shit, hunger. Thrit, thrust. Three dhatu bhi. Three dhatu means kaf, pit, vat. Ima muhu ardyamanaha. Shit, ushna. Shitoshna, sukha dukhana. Shit means sardi. Ushna means ushna, garmi. Vat means air. Varsha means rain. Itare, taraj. And many other, itare means etc. Many other disturbances like this. And then kamagni. Kamagni, filled with lust. Achutta rusha. Rusha means filled with anger. Achutta rusha. Extreme. Sa su dur bharena. Bharena का मतलब होता है भार. dur ka matlab, dur matlab durgati, which means फालतू का. सुदूर भरेना means फालतू का और बहुत ज्यादा. He is carrying this huge burden on his head. किसका? कामाग्नि, अपनी भौतिक इच्छाओं का. संपश्यतो मन और क्रमे सिद्धते में. And he says, while seeing them, sampashyato mana, my mind, urukrama, oh my dear Lord, becomes despondent. I become sorrow. When I look at these conditioned beings of this world, what are they doing? Oh great actor, my Lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, secretion, bile, attacked by coughing winter, blasting summer rains, and many other disturbing elements, overwhelmed by strong sex urges, indefatigable anger. I take pity on them. I'm very much aggrieved for them. Srila Prabhupada, Melbourne, was going for a morning walk, and he was walking in the park, and then he saw people driving expensive cars were coming and parking their cars in the park. And Prabhupada said, oh, why these people are parking their car and then walking? So the local devotee said, Prabhupada, actually they're going to that high street, which is 4 miles away. Oh, so they have brought their car and now they're walking there. Why they're not taking their car there? So they said, Prabhupada, the parking fees is very high there. So they're parking for free here. And Prabhupada immediately had tears in his eyes. His eyes became moist. He said, what a waste of life. What is this? So unfortunate. So Prabhupada writes in the purport in the last few lines, therefore, unless the devotees of the Lord take pity on them, teach them the right path, their lives are hopelessly failure. The devotees of the Lord who will take the responsibility of raising the foolish materialistic sense enjoyers are as confidential to the Lord as Lord Brahma. I mean, driving an expensive car, he doesn't have money for parking. And then he's walking all the way. Paglo ki kami nahi hai. Text number 9. Yavat prataktam idamatmana indriyartha maya balam bhagavato jana isha pashe tavanna samsriti raso pratishankrameta vyardhapi dukkha nivaham vahati kriyata. Yavat and tavat, as long as, until that time. Yavat prataktvam. Anyone knows the meaning of prataktvam? Yeah, prataktvena. ईश उपनिषद में आता है, भगवद गीता में आता है. Separate. Pratakttvena. Yavat prataktvam. As long as idam atmana indriyatha. As long as one has his own separate interest. Interest for indriyatha, for the sake of sense gratification. Maya balam bhagavato jana isha pashyat. He cannot take shelter. Tavan, until that point of time, na samsritihi asau pratisankrameta. Until that point of time, pratisankrameta, he cannot overcome the influence of Maya. Vyarthapi. Vyartha. Vyartha means useless. Vyarthapi dukkha nivaham. All his endeavors are useless. And dukkha nivaham, filled with miseries. Vahati kriyartaha. He performs vahati, bringing unless. Oh my Lord, the material miseries are without factual existence for the soul, yet as long as the conditional soul sees the body is meant for sense enjoyment, he cannot get out of the entanglement of material miseries, being influenced by your external energy. And a very beautiful purport. Somebody would like to read? Mother Medhavani, your hand is up. Go ahead, read out the purport. Please start.
Purport of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The whole trouble of the living entity in material existence is that he has an independent conception of life.
Please
always
mark it. The whole trouble is independent conception of life. So we have come from that background. Please understand. We have come from that background. It's not going to go away. So we need to be alert to these issues that we have, independent conception. And we should try our best to align. Unless that level of sincerity is there from the sadhaka, for how long anyone would tolerate? Okay, we can say, let's do 50-50. Okay, Prabhu, out of 100% of your day, you can perform this much service as a service. And few things, let's say 25% you can do what you like to do. Is a win-win solution? A win-win solution can only come when one understands that I have this problem. Otherwise, it will not happen. And that's the time. Only time if you ever see a devotee walking around with a morose face. Like Brahmaji is walking around with morose face. That is not that same moroseness. लोग कितने दुखी हैं, इसलिए दुखी हूं मैं. कभी ऐसा हुआ है? कभी दुखी हुए हो? तो मैंने. So when you're walking around with moroseness, only thing is his plans of enjoyment has been shattered. What and how he wants to perform bhakti has not been agreed upon. And वो बेचारा वहीं पे वो निराश हो जाता है. Otherwise, where is the question of despondency and hopelessness? Even after practicing bhakta for so many years, if we are still hopeless, why? Only one thing. मेरी बात नहीं सुनी, मेरी बात नहीं मानी. तो पहले आप स्वीकारो, I have this whole problem. Okay, now let's do a solution, because ultimately we have to give it up. So if Guru is saying not do it, isn't whose interest? It's my interest, because we have to align ourselves. Otherwise, how do we give it up? All right, go ahead. He's always.
He is always dependent on the rules of the Supreme Lord in both the conditioned and liberated states.
Doesn't matter.
But
You are liberated or conditioned. You are always controlled. So the main problem is the controllership mentality. So please remember, you are always controlled in either state. Please continue.
But by the influence of the external energy, the conditioned soul thinks himself independent of the supremacy of the personality of Godhead.
What is the definition of word Maya? Which is not. This is Maya. To think myself external controller is Maya, which is not. That's the point here. Continue.
His constitutional position is to dovetail himself with the desire of the supreme will. But as long as he does not do so, he is sure to drag on in the shackles of material bondage. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.55, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. He has to give up all sorts of plans manufactured by mental concoction. The living entity has to dovetail himself with the supreme will. That will help him to get out of the entanglement of material existence.
Ahani apratartha karnanishim hishayana nana manoratha dhiyashana bhakna nitra. This is exclusively spoken for Hinjawadi folks, IT folks, huh? Daivatartha rachana rashayopi deva yusmat prasanga vimukha yasam sharanti. What is it said? Ahani, I mean, it was a joke, but I'm saying this is what Prabhu was going to quote about factory life. Those who are working, उनके बारे में बोला गया. Ahani means daytime. Aprata, engaged. Artha, not artha actually. Artha nahi hai, artho, which means artho artharthi. Artho is distress, distressing engagement. How? Karana. Karana means the cause, the instrument, the senses. Nishi means ratri. Nihashyana means sleeplessness. Such a fellow cannot sleep in the night. Nana manoratha dhiya. Nana manoratha dhiya. His intelligence is covered over by all kind of speculations. Shana bhagna nidraha. So because his mind is filled with all kind of desires, which results in fear and anxiety, shana bhagna nidraha. उसकी रात की नींद भी पूरी नहीं होती. बेचारा सोता सोता जाग जाता है. क्यों? एक सपना देखा. सपने में देखा उसकी गाड़ी चोरी हो गई. उठ जाता है. क्या हुआ? Have you seen? Yes or no? इधर तो पॉइंट मत करो यार. मैं मतलब वो नहीं है किसको देखा है. Point here is, does it happen or not? I mean, maybe not in your case, but have you seen people outside? How much they get into anxiety? Brahmaji says, Shana bhagna nidra. I mean, they cannot even get a proper night's sleep. Daivadat rachna rashiyopi deva. अरे उनकी तो छोड़ो, ऋषि मुनि भी दुखी रहते हैं. ऋषि मुनि भी. कौन से ऋषि मुनि बात करते हैं? युष्मत प्रसंग विमुखा. वह प्रसंग विमुखा. युष्मत मीन्स आपकी, प्रसंग the narrations. One who has become, who has given up on hearing about your narrations, samsharanti, they wander around this samsara chakra etasmin. They don't have, so what is the point is, during the daytime, they engage in a very, what कहते हैं, a troublesome work with the hope that at least I'll have a good night's sleep. And then Brahma says, Shana Bhangna Nidra. And they cannot sleep peacefully also. Such non-devotees engage their senses in a very troublesome, extensive work. They suffer insomnia at night because the intelligent planet breaks their sleep with various mental speculations. They're frustrated in all their various plans by supernatural power. Even great sages, if they're against your transcendental topics, must rotate in this world. Prabhupada says in the middle of the purport. The owners of such factories are engaged in finding a market for their industrial products, which means CTS, TCS, right? Owners of such factories, they're looking for market for their products. And the laborers are engaged in extensive production involving huge mechanical arrangements. Hinjawadi is all that. What says? IT company is another name for hell. देखो ध्यान से, लिखा नहीं लिखा है? हाँ. I mean, factory is IT company. At night, hellishly engaged person take advantage of wine and movement to satisfy their tired senses, but they're not even able to have sound sleep because their mind is disturbed. Because they suffer from insomnia, sometimes they feel sleep in the morning for lack of sufficient rest. By the arrangement of supernatural power, even the great scientists of the world suffer frustration of their various plans and thus rot in the material world, birth after birth. A few lines below. All these people who are against the principle of devotional service are destined to rotate in the material world without fail. And the next paragraph talks about the sadhus and the rest of the purport, big purport, which means impersonalists and mayavadis. So, yeah, let's go to text number 11. Tam bhakti yoga paribhavita hrit saroja asi shruti kshita patho nanunata pumsam yad yadhiyata urugaya vibhavayanti tat tat vapu pranayase sat anugrahaya. Oh my Lord, you're so dear to you. Sat anugrahaya. What does Lord do? Tat tat vapu pranayase. To show his mercy, Sad Anugrahaya, Lord appears again and again and takes multifarious forms. Oh my Lord, your devotees can see you through the years of the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed and you take your seat there. You're so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. Which verse did we discuss which had exactly the same meaning? Like this, the 5th verse. It also spoke about the glories of hearing. Let's go back to 5th verse. Let's read the translation. Oh my Lord, person who smell the aroma of your lotus feet carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the air, accept your devotional service. For them, you never separate from the lotus of Lord is subordinate to pure devotional service. Very, very important purport this is. I don't have much time here. I'll just highlight 1 or 2 points. The status of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love. So it begins with Adau Shaddata Sadhu Sangha. The next paragraph. This attachment of the devotee to a particular form of the Lord is due to natural inclination. Each and every living entity is originally attached to a particular type of transcendental service because eternally is the servant of the Lord, which means Shavanam Kirtanam Smaranam Padasevana. Lord Chaitanya says they mean eternally a servitor of the Lord. Therefore, every living entity has a particular type of service relationship with the Lord eternally. This particular attachment is invoked by practice of regulative devotional service to the Lord, and thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached. This attachment for a particular form of the Lord is called Swarupa Siddhi. The Lord is never visible to the pseudo devotees, last few lines, who worship the demigods in charge of universal affairs. Conclusion is that the Lord cannot become the order supplier of pseudo devotees. We spoke about it yesterday. But is always prepared to respond to the desires of a pure, unalloyed, unconditional devotees who is free from all tinges of material affection. So we'll continue this discussion. Time is over here. So now Brahmaji is speaking about how Lord reciprocates towards his devotees. That goes up to, this is prayers. It goes up to verse number 15. As such, Brahmaji speaks up to verse number 25. It's a very important verses because Brahmaji is actually making a prayer for empowerment. Please give me the empowerment so I can carry out your orders, instructions. So there are some very important verses. Brahmaji speaks about how to render devotional service. What is the attitude of rendering devotional service? I was making a point, I believe, yesterday in Shri Upanishad discussion, isn't it? Was it yesterday? No, I didn't spoke yesterday. Day before yesterday, I believe Abhishek Prabhu had asked a question. Anyone remembers what I was making a point in this context? What should be the attitude of doing devotional service? Okay, because you're doing, so what are you supposed? Yes, Abhishek, let's hear from you. We answered your question only. What should be the attitude when you're doing service? Mike, हाँ दो उनको. You had only asked a question, so I answered you. Okay, what else? That is not your onus, that you cannot figure it out. What else? What else? So the very important point I mentioned over there, we have to remember everything has been given to us. I don't deserve it. So whenever we take on to anything, we remember Guru. We offer prayer. Just like in the morning when you wake up, we do Mangalati. Why did Prabhupada created this culture of having Mangalati before Japa? Japa could be there. We offer prayers. First prayer is to Guru. The very first prayer is to Guru. And then you offer about Narasimhadev, Narasimhati. Prabhupada brought this about gradually for protection, and Tulsi Aarti is for the mood. And then we had Shishtashtakam, which really set the moods and mission. And then you get into chanting. After chanting is done, then again Guru Puja. Now your day is about to start. Then again is to re-emphasize. Because that's the whole point. And I read about his incident. I spoke about incident also, right? The 1970 incident on the principle of Ekatvam. That was a discussion. How I was making a point, we have all come from Mayavadi background, and how Prabhupada himself, in Prabhupada's presence, was disrespected. Book was published, his name was not there. The title of the temple was published, his name was not there. He wanted to go for Janmashtami, the leader said, "You're not needed." He wanted to sit on the chariot, they said, "No, your life is at risk, you don't come. You don't come for Rath Yatra only." And they themselves sat on the same place like that. We were making a point there. So always remember that whatever we are doing, it is given. It is given to us. We are given this process of chanting the holy names. We're given the opportunity to render. Why would Prabhupada teach us about having Guru Parampara? Why you have to first offer to Guru and then to the Lord? Because that's the biggest problem. We all want to approach directly. We all want to approach directly. We don't want to go through Guru Parampara. That's a heavy, big conditioning. Guru Parampara chodo Guru. We don't want to go through somebody. We think directly. So therefore we are making point. The world accepts self-made men far better than already somebody who's coming in a proper parampara. So if you're self-made, you say, "I learned it myself." Oh, then you're so great. We have many people like this. Devdutt Patnaik speaks rubbish, talks rubbish, but he's a self-made guru on Shastra. He has to speak. He has something. If anything happens, people are going to ask him. मैं कहा यार मतलब वो भी गया ये भी गैर गुजरे मतलब पूछने वाले के भी तो होना चाहिए किससे पूछ रहे हो why self-made? Similarly, there are many other people self-made gurus. So the world accepts that, and we have come from that conditioning. So always remember, the attitude is we remember who gave the service, and before we start, why do we say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya before reciting Bhagavatam? Chalo, wo kar bhi diya. I offer my respect to the Lord. Why do we have to go Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiyat? Why you quote this shloka? जनता को सुनाने के लिए कितना श्लोक आता है मेरे को? क्या मतलब है श्लोक का? What is the meaning of the shloka? You are offering your respect to Srila Vyasdev also. Srila Vyasdev, to Mata Saraswati, because who wrote this? Srimad Bhagavatam. Whose gift it is? You please understand which culture you have signed up for. So Vyasdev. See anything. When you honor prasadam, Mahaprasade, Govinde, Remember, this is the glories of the Lord. This is mercy of the Lord, like this. Every aspect of thing, when you go out on book distribution, when you're preaching, every time you have to remember Guru. So therefore, those questions comes, Prabhuji, how do I handle if people glorify me? There's no question of it. If you're remembering, if you know what's your situation, there's no question of you're going to hold it and keep it in your pocket. Never belongs to you. And you will not be affected. So be careful of it. The ego that we already have, false ego and things like that, that's the way. So that's the way we can survive. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. And if we continue with this kind of a training, then gradually our mind becomes stable. Hare Krishna. So we read up to 11th verse. So we'll pause here. We'll continue this discussion. These were some verses and prayers. I just didn't want to read it. A little bit wanted to have a discussion. Because Brahma ji, which parampara do you belong to? ब्रह्मा माधव गौड़िया परम. तो थोड़ा तो समय लगाना पड़ेगा ना ब्रह्मा जी को अच्छा लगना चाहिए ना. बोले मैंने शब्द बोले तो जल्दी जल्दी निकल गए. वही परम गुरु है हमारी परंपरा के, तो उनकी बातों को तो थोड़ा चर्चा करना चाहिए. Therefore, I thought we'll discuss a little bit. He's making a prayer. So if in case anyone has one question on the online forum, we can have it. If not, we'll pause here. So we can have a quick darshanati of Vaishnavas. भगवान का दर्शनार्थी हो गया है. वैष्णवों का भी ले लेते हैं. कौन कौन वैष्णव है यहाँ पर? कुछ लोग बहुत स्मार्ट हैं. वो जूम पे अपनी मुस्कुराती हुई फोटो लगाते हैं. ऐसा लगता है ऑल थ्रू द सेशन दे आर स्माइलिंग. तो समझ ही आता वो क्या चल रहा है. ओ क्या इतने समय से सिर्फ मुस्कुराई रहे पूरे सेशन में, तो बाद में बता रहा नहीं आए तो फोटो है उनकी. एक ही पोज में कैसे बैठे हुए. All right, who else are there online?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I
Yes,
saw
Hare.
somebody was in the bike for a very long time. I think Sudhirji was there. So it was distracting. I'm very sorry.
No worries, no worries. I'm just looking at who all are there.
I know. Sorry.
Okay, our Prabhu from Bombay. Sorry, I forgot the name. We're coming from Mayapur Yatra, right? Yes. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. There are others also, little shy of giving darshan right now. Maybe they are busy or honoring prasadam. No problem. Hare Krishna. So we conclude. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad